What is going down, Sourdough Squad? How are we doing on this Monday morning after the Rams hoist the Lombardi Trophy? Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay get the job done against the Bengals. We got a lot to talk about today, specifically. Again, the offseason will not allow us to not talk about the quarterback situation, but I do want to say hello to the Sourdough Squad. Also, want to see how are we feeling about that Super Bowl? Did we like the outcome? Probably not, as a division rival that is actually the reason why we're not in the Super Bowl wins it. Um, but overall, I just want to check on the squad. Let's do a little mental health check. How are we feeling? We feel okay. It's now officially off season for all 32 NFL organizations. So from here on out, every team is talking about the off season. No more postseason. Rams came away with the victory. So Justin says, I feel sick. Jesus says, not great, Brad. Not great. I feel you. I don't I don't feel too good either, CG. I'm feeling a little upset. Hurricane says, bro, that Super Bowl, I feel like Rams. I feel sick. Rams won it. I feel sick too. Not fun. But we welcome the Sourdough Squad in the building. You know the vibes. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Hit that sub button. Join the Sourdough Squad. Because you guys know what it was. I think a lot of us we were rooting for Cincy. We had former 49er Trent Taylor on the opposite side. He's a good friend of my page and my brand. So absolutely was rooting for Trent. Trent actually had a fire punt return, but we really didn't see much of him after that. We got right here. Honestly, I was fine with the game, especially the officiating at the end with the phantom call on Logan number 55 to sway the outcome. Hey, it was funny, man. Overall, I felt like the refs did a pretty good job. Like they weren't forcing their hand. There weren't a bunch of calls that were crazy, right? But then at the end, man, on that crucial third down, when you had to have it, that phantom penalty came in out of nowhere, seemingly giving the Rams another chance. It is what it is. We're not going to cry too much about it. It happens pretty much every game this year. So why not would the refs not have an impact on the overall game of the Super Bowl? So shocker, right? Not really. I think we're all we're all I think it's crystal clear that the NFL really wanted the Rams to win. Because if you guys understand how that stadium was built, I mean, NFL Network is inside of their stadium. Um, the NFL worked hand in hand with Sam Kroenke and the Rams to get that insanely massive stadium built, the crown jewel of the NFL. The NFL wanted them to win. I think we all understand. There's at least a smidge level of riggedness around the NFL, but we're not going to sit here and cry. At the end of the day, got to get the job done. Got to win the game. Rams did that, so we tip our cap to Matthew Stafford. Quickly though, I like that OBJ. He got a touchdown. Condolences to him. For tearing the ACL, but I'm glad that he was able to get a touchdown and do all that good stuff. I do respect OBJ, even though he's on the enemy side. So glad that he was able to get a ring. Glad that, I respect guys on that roster, even though I might not like the logo. I do respect some of the guys that they do have over there. So it is what it is. And the halftime show was sick, man. What are you talking about, media? What are we doing, stepson? I thought the halftime show was sick. It got me vibing. Slapped a bunch of songs that I grew up to, and slapping on the radio, slapping in my MP3, whatever, man. So it was good for me. I liked it. I thought the halftime show was cool. I don't know about you guys, but I liked seeing Spider Scent 2 dropping down upside down, looking all crazy. he 50 Cent looks like he's on the sourdough Brad diet. That's what 50 looks like he's doing. So shout out 50. We see you doing all the hard work. Looks like me and you got the same dietitian. Uh, shout out 50. I thought it was a cool halftime show. But hey, you know, it would have been a lot cooler if the 49ers were playing in the game. It would have been a lot cooler if that was the situation. Um, but yes, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we talk about the game even more. Someone was talking about uh, asked me, Mark says, how you feel about the turf situation. I think the turf situation is a real issue. Like, clearly, it's a real issue. You have Bosa, you have Kittle, you have Debo tweeting about it. The turf is a real issue. The turf is a huge issue. And for a lot of the things that like Kittle has gone and spoke about, it's not standardized. You're not having the same field turf on it's based on which vendor you choose. And if you go from vendor to vendor, things can change dramatically. Quality, to how much teams are actually paying into their field. One team can pay $3 million for a field, and another team can turn around and pay $1 million. And you're gonna see the changes from paying $3 million versus $1 million. So those things aren't regulated. What vendors are used aren't regulated. So that's an issue. And clearly, they have the statistics to back it up. And you can tell even when OBJ got his injury, when OBJ tore his ACL, what do they always talk about? They always talk about like the center logo, because it's essentially like, if you've ever played on turf, it's plastic, and they have to scrub off the paint, and then they repaint it, and it becomes this like surface that you wouldn't want to put million dollar NFL athletes on. You just don't. But we understand. I guarantee that logo that they placed at the center of the field probably represents more marketing dollars than half a team combined. So it's one of those give or take situations. But the field, yeah, they need to figure that out. They need to figure it out, because it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. And of course, 49er fans, remember the game last year at MetLife. You totally understand what that means. So yeah, turf sucks. Ban the turf. We don't want the turf. I agree. I understand all the complaints and issues that they have with it. 100%. Jesus says, congrats to Van Jefferson, 2 W's in one night. 100%. That was really cool. That was cool, man. Hoist the Lombardi and hoist your newborn all in the same night. Pretty cool. I like that a lot. Pretty cool. And you're right. NFL doesn't care about the turf situation. However, if enough people talk about it, they will care. So we will see. We will see. Cash to Gold. What's good? Welcome the boy to the chat. He says, "Yer." Okay, let's talk about the topic at hand, though. I know why you guys are all here. We want to talk about the quarterback. We want to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. We want to talk about offseason movement, because, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's now the offseason for all 32 teams. Every team has officially turned the page. It's time to build. It is time to build a Super Bowl roster. So, as a result, we got our first news of the day. And let's keep it a buck. There's going to be a lot of rumors. There's going to be a lot of information. We got that one account on Twitter, NFL Rums. I don't know. You're never going to see me. And just to talk about that really quick, you're never going to see me make a report or a post come and cite that account specifically. However, you will see other accounts that will. And then as a result, once enough people start posting about it, hey, guess what? Then we'll probably be talking about it. But this particular rumor, this didn't come from some random Twitter account. This didn't come from just some, Mr. Random Sources Trust Me Bro.com. This actually came from a Washington executive and was reposted or reported on via The Athletic. The Athletic is a very reputable brand, very reputable journalistic syndicate. They have some of the top writers across the entire country, and they are devout in their journalistic integrity. So that is a report that when we see The Athletic is reporting that Washington executives may be willing to and anticipate that the Washington Commanders could trade a first round pick for the services of Jimmy Garoppolo. And it is not, I'm just saying, what writer I will tell you, I'll show you here in 1 second. We can look at some of the graphics that The Athletic had actually posted themselves. So let me get this pulled up and we can look at it and we can rip it apart. So let's look at the report first. Let's see what they're saying, how they said it. It always is important to recognize how something is said. One word, one phrasing can change the outcome of what is being said. So we're going to take a look at it. And then once we look at it, we will then begin our due diligence of speculation. So I'm excited. Let's get to speculating. Because it is off season and we vibe. Remember, smash that like button if you haven't already. Get these likes to the moon. Let's see how many people we could get in here talking about rumors. And again, this is from The Athletic, their main account. Again, they have subsections of which teams that they cover, but this is from The Athletic's main account. One executive says the Commanders could justify sending their first round pick to the Niners for Jimmy Garoppolo should they determine none of the incoming quarterbacks are worthy of that selection. Sources tells Ben Standig. So that's a pretty, the reason why I wanted to bring up the source at the beginning and talking about, we're going to hear rumors from Joe Blow. We're going to hear rumors from Joe Mama. We're going to hear rumors from Joe Burrow. Who knows? This is an off season. That's why it's smoke season. So we are going to hear reports from X, Y, Z source where we're just like, where is this coming from? Like, who's actually saying this? And like, is this a reputable source? Or is it not? Those are the things that we go through when vetting a rumor. Well, this is pretty up there. When we talk about, the different levels of vetting a rumor, this is up there. This is coming from this is a journalistic platform that has high integrity. They're not going to put out a story like this citing not only executives but Washington executives. Like, they're going to have some things tied up for this type of journalistic platform to put this out there. They're not like me. They're not like other accounts that were just gonna be like, oh, a rumor, let's post it. They're not like that. So that's why it's a little bit different in this particular situation. So this is coming per sources directly from inside of Washington. Now we're going to get into a little bit more. Again, we're going to put the tinfoil hat on. We're going to talk about all the different levels and angles to this. Does it make sense? Is this something that we should listen to? Is there any weight that is carried here? Or is this just nonsense? We're going to talk about it. They go on to say, quote, for a team that needs to win now, the veteran here trumps the unproven rookies. This is from The Athletic's Van Standig on how a Washington executive views a possible Jimmy Garoppolo trade. So, again, we got a legitimate journalist, we got a legitimate journalist platform, and we have a inside the building Washington executive per sources. So I like it. Now, Jason right here could be 100% onto something. PR move to increase Jimmy G's trade value. 100%. But that's what we want. We want to have the baseline conversation amongst media, fans. Again, we understand perception reigns supreme, especially in smoke season, especially when it's headlines, it's clicks, it's what moves the needle, what moves the timeline. Right now, we understand the quarterback conversation is going to move the timeline. And right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of like the cleanest prospect to be traded from a veteran quarterback standpoint. Because if we look at it, let's look at all the available quarterbacks that could be traded. Aaron Rodgers, okay? He's probably at the top of the list, but he's under contract, so you're going to have to be trading for a contract. And same thing goes for Jimmy Garoppolo. But on the other hand, Tom Brady, is there any relevance or news that backs up he will come out of retirement? Now, he has talked about he left the door open. A lot of people are talking about his return, so I'm not going to put it past him. I would not be shocked to see Tom Brady be back. So could he be a possible quarterback that gets moved? Again, you have Russell Wilson, who said he's trying to make it work with Seattle, but you never know. Russell Wilson could find himself playing on another team. Also, you have Deshaun Watson. Where's Deshaun Watson going to go? Deshaun still wants to be traded from the Texans. However, Deshaun is still dealing with the legal troubles off the field. And I guarantee you a team will not trade for him until they understand the finality of what will come from Deshaun Watson's situation. So Deshaun is a pure question mark. Is he even going to get moved? I don't know. I can guarantee you, just like we saw last year, teams aren't going to wait. They're not going to wait. If they got to make a move, they're going to make a move. They're not going to wait for Deshaun Watson to figure out what the hell's going on with his legal issues off the field. And then add into the mix Kyler Murray. Does Kyler Murray become a potential target for teams who need a quarterback? As we have seen, Kyler Murray has, shout out his marketing team, because if they wanted the entire football world to be talking about their quarterback, they did a great job. Now, if that is the ultimate goal of just talking about the quarterback, they succeeded. But the conversation and the narrative surrounding Kyler Murray is not good. It is not something that is uplifting. It doesn't uplift their client. It makes their client actually look worse, especially coming off the loss in the playoffs. So something's going on with Kyler and his representation and his relationship between the Cardinals. So we'll see what goes. But again, that's really about it. Those are about the quarterbacks that you have available. And then after that, what do you have? A whole lot of nothing. Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston. Like, where are you going to go? So at a certain point, yes, there are top level quarterbacks that could be moved, and we could see them switch teams that are probably going to, like, if Russ gets moved, he's going to require a lot of draft capital. If Aaron Rodgers gets moved, he's going to require a lot of draft capital to be moved, much more than a first round pick for both quarterbacks. So that then changes the dynamic a bit, or at least for teams who maybe aren't ready to win a Super Bowl. Because again, are the Washington Commanders, are they ready to win a Super Bowl by adding Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe to them, they would and they would understand that, hey, maybe we trade the first round pick, we go get Jimmy Garoppolo, we bring Jimmy Garoppolo over here. He helps us solidify a culture, helps us solidify a locker room. Again, they had a lot of they had good experiences with Alex Smith. So they could be thinking of that mold, maybe Alex Smith 2.0. It allows you time to bring in a younger quarterback potentially to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo if you wanted to take a guy in the second or the third, and just kind of plop him under behind Jimmy and allow Jimmy to do his work. And again, what did Jimmy prove in 2021 that he could do? He proved that he wouldn't be a complete a-hole to an incoming rookie quarterback. So I think that is something that another team would find beneficial. So there's a lot of different like avenues and layers to this, but I think when we strip it down to the quarterbacks that we envision being on the move and the quarterbacks who are available, it's not a lot. And that's essentially what's being said here by this report from this Washington executive, essentially saying, the rookie incoming class, it is not like last year. There are no Justin Fields. There are no Trey Lances. There are no Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and or hell, even, Davis Mills, maybe. But the level of quarterback play isn't the same. Although you got guys like Malik Willis, Matt Corral, probably the upper echelon of quarterbacks coming into this draft class, they're not perceived to be day one starters like all these other quarterbacks were. So that then changes the value model. Now we're in the part of the season where we're talking economics. Like we're talking like pure business. Like these players, like they lose their face, their personalities. To these front offices, they are a line in a spreadsheet. They're a line, there's a position, their age, and how much money they make, and what they need to do in the future. They become a line item. We are officially in the part of the season where these players aren't people anymore to these front offices. They are a line item. And with those line items, you start to shift and move and change and trade. And so now we start to see the transactional side of the NFL really kind of evolve with this portion of the year. So that's what's going to be crazy. Where do all these pieces fall? It's going to be a domino effect. We saw it last year with the quarterbacks, Carson Wentz, Sam Darnold. A lot of, we had to see one or two or three moves really fall into place before we started to really kind of understand the landscape really of the NFL and where these quarterbacks are going to be moved to. And we saw last year, the NFL is not afraid of moving quarterbacks. Again, Matthew Stafford was the first quarterback to get traded last year. And what did it result in? It resulted in a Super Bowl win. Another case study that you can prove to teams, hey, this is why veteran quarterbacks are going to work to your benefit much better than a rookie, even if it is Jimmy Garoppolo compared to Matthew Stafford. So I just think what we've seen is the value and the supply go like this. Supply is down, value couldn't be higher. Couldn't be higher. Cash the God says Jimmy and Washington don't sound bad. The division trash. Jimmy could win out over there, and Washington got some real talent. Washington would love Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're built very well to be successful with a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, my only questions and or concerns would be to decide whether or not you want to I guess how do I want to say this? How do I want to say this? I think the situation that exists with Washington is from I think a football standpoint, I think they figured it out. I think they've figured it out with the situation regarding football operations. You know, when you get the coach Ron Rivera that they have, I think he's a great football guy, and he's been a great buffer between football operations and the football side, the business of football. Um, Whereas, you know, we understand the business of football with the Washington Commanders is likely one of the worst in the league. However, the team side of it, you look at the talent that they have a pretty solid offensive line. They have Antonio Gibson at running back, one of the better young running backs in the league. They've got wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, Sims. They have a pretty solid talent pool at wide receiver. Logan Thomas has been pretty damn good as a tight end. They have a young tight end that I really like coming out of Boise last year. So they have weapons on offense. They have an offensive minded coach in Ron Riviera, who I respect as a coach. So there might, maybe from a football stance, it could make sense. They have a good defense. They got talent all across the defense. So I'm just saying, you know, although we're like kind of focused on the Washington Commanders now as the team that was called the football team. They couldn't find a name. They have so many off-field issues with their owner and their like. There's a lot of issues that might not be attractive. However, if you can compartmentalize it just to the football side of things, it actually could be an okay landing spot where you could win with Jimmy Garoppolo running the show. You could absolutely do that with him running the show. And Riviera might as well. Yeah, he's a defensive guy. I'm just speaking from holistically as a head coach and the runner. Basically, he manages football operations as well. Not only does he make, you know, the coaching decisions, but he's also essentially head of football ops. He makes all the football decisions, from my understanding, inside that building. Bullpup says if Washington trades down to a low 1, early 2, then Jimmy to Washington makes sense. NFC East is trash. You never know, man. So obviously, Washington currently holds the number 11th overall pick, and that's a high pick. Clearly, San Francisco 49ers had the 12th last year. And with Washington holding the 11th overall pick, that is pretty valuable. As you know, the 49ers traded DeForest Buckner straight up for the 13th overall pick, I believe, what was it, in the 2020 NFL draft, and all that stuff. So, hey, crazier things have been done. And, you know, again, it's quarterback. Quarterbacks are valued in a completely different stratosphere compared to defensive tackles. So, although DeForest Buckner is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL and has proven that year in and year out, the positional need, positional value does not match that of a quarterback. And a quarterback who has led his team, whether you like him or not, to the NFC Championship game twice in the last 3 years. So that becomes a conversation where you start to look at its value and you're like, well, maybe we can get more than the 13th overall pick. So that's why this conversation, I think, is going to be fascinating as we continue to move out. It's really going to be a conversation that is going to have a lot of moving targets. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about. But it really does kind of feel like we're kind of coming out hot into this offseason. And if we have Washington execs basically delivering this message to, you know, legitimate journalists, and it kind of, and we, like I said, perception reigns supreme amongst the fan base. So now What 49er fans are running around thinking? Jimmy first. Now, what the rest of the NFL is leaking or thinking or contemplating, Jimmy first? And then they start toying with the idea, is he worth the first? Then again, like we're doing, like you look at the entire health of the league, you look at all this, you look at that, you're like, maybe. You know what? Maybe Jimmy can get that first rounder. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case. I talked about in the offseason last year, it was a roller coaster ride trying to figure out what Jimmy was worth. Like it felt like at one point his value was in the dumpster. Then it felt like he brought his value back, and he would be valuable. Then it went down again. Then it went back up. It's been a moving target. So the fact that we have something coming out from a reputable source like this, whether it means nothing, that it could be very well be true. But the perception now lies Jimmy Garoppolo first. We are now conditioned to start to think, well, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is worth the first. And who knows? Who knows how that steamrolls, how that picks up momentum and steam moving forward? It could absolutely, but we'll see. Money Mark, my boy, says I agree with the exec. Can't be a Super Bowl or bust if we turn over the keys to Lance next year. Just not realistic. Still love the kid's future, but we have to give him time to grow. So is Money Mark saying no trade of Jimmy? I agree with the exec. Can't be a Super Bowl or bust if we turn over the keys to Lance next year. Just not realistic. Wants kid to grow. Kind of sounds like a keep Jimmy comment. Maybe. I don't know. I could be misreading that. Could be the case. Open for clarifications. Justin says, I want number 6 from Carolina. Yeah, I think Carolina wants number 6. they got some issues to figure out over there with the Panthers, man. Cash the God says, go get a wide receiver, Christian Watson in the second, and give Trey a guy he can trust. Plus, he was the best wide receiver at the Senior Bowl. I mean, Christian Watson, he is a 6'4", big-bodied son of a gun. When you think of 6'4", it might maybe start leaning in the realm of, DK Metcalf, the bigger bodied guys, and stuff like that. And, but hey, he's a little different. He's got some twitch to him. Christian Watson does got some twitch to him. He has some twitch to him. He has the ability to get loose, do a couple things. Don't tempt me with a good time. Do not tempt me with a good time. I'm smashed. I am running to hit accept on this trade. If the Panthers were like, hey, we'll give you Brian Burns straight up for Jimmy Garoppolo, I would have said yes before they even finished the sentence. Like, you want to add, you want more? You want Jimmy and something else? You want Jimmy and a pick for Brian? Like, that to me, of course, if you guys know me, I have an affinity for Brian Burns, one of my all-time favorite prospects. Just all-time favorite guy. So if the 49ers got Brian Burns, I'd be ecstatic. Just the thought, Brian Burns, and on the opposite side, Nick Bosa. Sheesh. Wouldn't be able to do nothing to that 49ers defense with those two guys out on the edge. But yeah, so I think the question that maybe we can pull the chat, let's pull the chat for the first time. Seems like an appropriate time to get the chat involved and get us talking about the same things, based on the landscape, based on available quarterbacks that can be had. Again, the list is not pretty of guys that you can have in the free agent open market. Ryan Fitzpatrick, does that sound like someone that you'd want in a win now and or let's push for the playoffs type quarterback move? Maybe not. So really, the overall list isn't great. And again, supply and demand. If the demand is there, but there's just no supply, that is going to change the value. So based on the current supply and demand, does the chat? I want to see what the chat has to say. Does the chat believe that Jimmy Garoppolo, as we look at the entire landscape and some of the things that we've talked about, could Jimmy Garoppolo actually be worth a first round pick? And again, not just to the what, there are plenty of teams who could be in the need of quarterbacks. So I want to see what the chat thinks. Do you guys think that Jimmy Garoppolo is worth a first and or could at least work his value up to be a first? And we see Jimmy Garoppolo moved for something with doesn't have to be exactly a first, and there are different values that you can pull second in a player that would equal like first round range. Is he at least worthy of the first round conversation? And again, I want to see what the chat has to say. I want to see what you guys are thinking and what you guys are vibing like. Right off the bat, Ron says no, not a first rounder. But Chris, Idris both say yes. They think he could be moved for a first rounder. The Bay Area says Jimmy doesn't think has any trade value, so can't even give him away. Cash the God says yes. Jason says this year's draft class, I absolutely think so. Andrew says yes. In this market, Jimmy is a first. Kind of feels like that. Bussy Boy says early second round pick. Roman says maybe. To some teams, yes, because they're desperate. Supply and demand. Hey, we know how it is sometimes. Sometimes you are desperate to make a move, save your job, save the perception of what you're building. Sometimes you just need a veteran to come in and fill that role. So teams could be desperate. SoCal Faithful says no, there's just no way we get a first rounder, but getting a second would still be a massive W. South Central South says honestly think he is. He does have a winning record. Again, when you come to these poverty franchises, man, where we're spoiled. I mean, we are spoiled. I think it is important to remember that a little bit. We are look behind me. I got Jerry Rice, GOAT, Joe Montana. I guess the second best quarterback of all time now. But I got Frankie G, I got Vernon, I got like the 49ers. We are spoiled with having some of the best football players to ever play and consistently. Not every franchise is built like that. So when you can come to a franchise and say, hey, I got a quarterback for sale, it might need a little work. I mean, might backfire a little here or there, might have a little ding. But guess what? That quarterback has taken me to one Super Bowl, almost won that Super Bowl, and 2 years later, almost took me to another Super Bowl. Now, I think that can be very attractive to someone not named the 49ers. Again, we are spoiled 100%. Steve Young, Jeff Garcia, like we're spoiled. So other teams don't have that. They just don't have that. So again, perception matters. Now that the perception is being floated, oh, Jimmy might be worth the first. Could be very, very interesting to see how this all develops. But as you can see, it does feel like a moving target. I mean, I'll put my emphatic opinion on it. I see him kind of as a second round, could be a high second rounder, 30s, 40s. You could get a pick around there. But like I said, if the teams move through this draft evaluation and they put developmental tags on Willis, Corral, Howell, whichever quarterbacks you want to name. If they go through this and they just tag them as developmental, that changes the value. Again, one of the reasons why we're talking about this, and DM, I think he might hit this on the head. We'll find out. He says the value is subjective to the market. Currently, if the market says first round, then sure, we'll all know that's not his actual value, but it's slim pickings. And if none of these rookie quarterbacks, Desmond Ritter, I like Desmond Ritter, but even Desmond could benefit from a couple of years sitting on a bench, learning from a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. So again, this isn't like, hey, see that guy? What do you think he's worth in a vacuum? That's not the conversation we're having. The conversation we're having is, hey, see that guy? See the entire landscape of that there NFL? See how that team, and that team don't have a quarterback? What would he be worth to that team, and that team that don't have a quarterback and who desperately need to win to save jobs, save face? Just saying, the value is dependent on the market, and the market is in our favor at this moment. It is. So we'll see, man. We will see what happens. I can't wait though. It's gonna be something fun to see. I'm having a blast already. The sting of the 49ers not being in the Super Bowl, it's over with. It's fine. I get it. I'm over it. So now I'm just having fun with all these hypotheticals, trying to understand the lay of the land, where everyone's sitting, who's moving on, who's not, who's going to draft the quarterback, who's not. And when you start to take a step back and you start to look at the way this quarterback situation is laying out, Jimmy might be making some money for the 49ers right now. I'm just saying. Again, it's much more than his value in a vacuum, not looking at anything else. Like his vacuum of value there's much more to this conversation than just like, oh hey, Jimmy's a third rounder because of his talent. Like the conversation goes far beyond that. And I can tell you, the thing that we hear about all the time, right? Especially with the San Francisco 49ers, the locker room presence, the veteran leadership, teams value that. Now, fans might not. Fans might only value what is actually produced on the field. I can tell you 100% that teams value the person. They value, are you a leader? Can you command a locker room? Can you lead a group of men? That carries lots of value, and much more value than any fan will assign to that person. So even if you are saying talent-wise, Jimmy, yeah, maybe about a second. Okay. Add on the leadership intangible, add on the veteran savvy that is Jimmy. I think he might be worth a first round pick. I think he might be worth a first round pick. So it's crazy. Crazy times we are in. Crazy times we are in. I did mention Cap. What are you talking about? I literally pointed to him. He's right behind me. All right, I'm trying to catch up to the chat. Bear with me. Trying to catch up with all you scoundrels in the chat. Hey, is the mod team working today? I am fully locked in to kind of just talking. So if the mod team is modding right now, shout out the mod team. Shout out the mod squad. We appreciate you. We appreciate the mod squad. Do not cross the mod squad. Mod squad will get you out of here quick. Do not test the mod squad. Mod squad is undefeated at this current state and time. And as Niner by Nature always says, Debo that like button. You know the vibes. Get that up. Uh, Paul the Third says, "What if Green Bay, as a fu to the Niners, lets every team think they have a shot at Rodgers until the draft? You think he gets traded? I don't. Um, he's talking like he's getting traded. Um, I would say Rodgers is communicating like he's getting traded. It feels like he could be getting traded. Um, However, I don't know. I think it could go both ways. I think there is a world that exists where Rodgers returns and plays the final year. But I also believe there is a world that exists that he plays on a new team. Um, I don't know which way they fall. And again, I can only listen to Aaron Rodgers and listen to the things that he's saying. And it sounds like he's done. So, and it sounds like they're going on good terms, but it just sounds like they're done. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I want to start with this. I don't think the Green Bay Packers are trading Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers, even if that's where Rodgers wanted to go and if the 49ers wanted that to happen. Like there were some serious feelings that were hurt over just the thought of Kyle Shanahan calling the Packers to see if he could do a draft day trade on with Aaron Rodgers. And he got Matt LaFleur mad at him. He got his brother mad at him. So I don't think that's something that the Packers want to do. I don't think the Packers are going to be like, yeah, let's send Rodgers to Kyle so Kyle can go win a ship. And I don't think Matt LaFleur wants that. I don't think Green Bay wants that. Again, they're one of our biggest rivals. I want to see that, man. I wouldn't see them wanting to do that. So I don't think Aaron Rodgers. I think that ship has sailed. But hey, never say never. One of the things that we will talk about here is never say never. So I'm not going to say it won't happen, but the likelihood it would feels far off. But an interesting question though. If Jimmy Garoppolo, let's ask the chat again. If Jimmy Garoppolo is going for a potential first round draft pick, what does that make Aaron Rodgers' value? What would a team trade to get Aaron Rodgers? So again, we're trying to work through the supply and demand model, right? Okay, well, Rodgers is one of the biggest dominoes that will have to fall and will also change the perception of value. And so then what is a team willing to give up for this guy? And then what does his price look like to then make Jimmy's price look cheap as hell? I'm just saying. Like, let's see what we got in the chat. I think we're gonna kind of be in the same point. 3 firsts for Aaron Rodgers. Roman says half their team. Chris says 2 firsts. Darth says 3 firsts for Rodgers. Niners by nature, 3 firsts. Jason says your own kids. There's only one Aaron Rodgers. So what is someone going to pay? GD says unless Pittsburgh offers like 3 or 4 first rounders for him, no way Green Bay even considers trading Rodgers, especially not for an NFC team. So look, whole draft for 2 years, 3 first rounders. Like this is what I'm talking about. Remember what? But to this point, what did the 49ers trade to get Trey Lance? They traded multiple first round picks to get Trey Lance. Okay. Well, what are you trading to get a guy who should enter your team and immediately make you Super Bowl favorites? It's like the same thought process in which the Rams bought Stafford. They gave away Goff, multiple first round picks to acquire Stafford. Instantly plug and play Super Bowl. So now Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that I think we all think that Aaron Rodgers is better than Matthew Stafford. So then what is Aaron Rodgers getting? And so then we have that conversation. Well, it's going to take 4 first round picks. It's going to take 6 picks combining of multiple firsts, multiple seconds, a player. Gabe says I'm late once again. Sort of off topic. This is, but those Montana comments frustrate me. Even if it's true, why is he saying it publicly? We'll pick that up in a little bit. I'll come back to that one after we get off this topic about what we think Aaron Rodgers is valued at. But this is part of the point. Okay, I think you're starting to maybe understand where I might be going with this. Is that okay? Yeah, everyone wants Aaron Rodgers. But can you afford Aaron Rodgers? Can you afford him? Can you does it make sense economically to go get Aaron Rodgers even though you're desperate and you want a Super Bowl at at a certain point? Do you screw yourself by paying too much for Aaron Rodgers? So this is the point that now comes back to Jimmy Garoppolo. Now this is the point that comes back to Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, 3 first round picks for Aaron Rodgers, three first rounders and a player. Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo, first round pick. That gets it done. Conversation then changes a little bit, right? I'm just saying. Context, right? If Aaron Rodgers is going to require Fort Knox, then that first for Jimmy doesn't feel like it's that much, does it? Does it? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just saying. Doesn't seem like that much once you go through the mental exercises of that. He said. Seems like a first rounder for Jimmy might suffice. Maybe. Maybe not. But if you recall, our own fan base was willing to trade 2 first rounders and Nick Bosa. Let me run that one back. 2 first rounders and Nick Bosa for Deshaun Watson. I'm just saying. First rounder for Jimmy? That doesn't sound too bad. Oh, you can get me a quarterback who went to the NFC Championship twice in the last 3 years? That doesn't sound too bad after all. Doesn't sound too shabby. Now, does it? You know the vibes. So, did I think when the season ended for the San Francisco 49ers that they were going to get a first round draft pick for Jimmy Garoppolo? The simple answer is no. I've been working off the realm of second round pick. And if there was going to be anything else, it would be like second and a fifth, maybe a second that has a incentivizer built in. He makes it to the playoffs. Okay. Then the 49ers get a or whatever. You know, they built in the incentivizer. So he plays a certain amount, gets them to the playoffs. It's then regulated into a higher value draft pick, something like that. It's kind of where I was at. But I mean, again, narratives, perception. Okay, it's out there. Now I gotta think about it. That's the point. We now have to rationalize it. We now have to run it through our brains. Like, okay, well, this guy said this. Does it make sense? Guess what? At the end of it, kind of makes a little sense. It could happen. Could very well happen. Luke Luna says Green Bay has zero leverage. Rodgers got the voided years, so he can turn around, do this trade, or I'll pay one last year and you'll get nothing from me. Yeah, I agree. So, hey, I think I I think I think that we find ourselves in a situation where I think I think we might get a little bit more for Garoppolo than maybe we would have anticipated heading into this offseason. And for all the points that have been made, again, what they're citing with the original report, things that we've worked through, just talked about, spitballed, it does feel like he could be worth more. Now, we won't know until it's all said and done. And we also understand that they are going to value things much differently than a fan base values anything. So I don't first I could see it. I now believe it's an outcome. And I'm going to continue to manifest it and now just speak it into existence. So I would say, Sourdough Squad, we should do the same, right? Because at the end of the day, ultimately, we understand that 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo are parting ways. It is going to happen. It's agreed upon. I think both sides want it to happen. You know, we're not going to get into the weeds of wanting it to happen, but it's going to happen. So I think his value is working in the right direction, and that's all we could ask for. That is all we can ask for, is that he will continue to see his value raise with the continued elevation and scouting of the current quarterback class, and understanding it's probably a tier down or two than what they had wanted. So if you need that quarterback and you have plans on winning this year, Jimmy all of a sudden becomes a very attractive piece. So that's all I'm saying. And so I could see it. I see a world that exists where Jimmy Garoppolo could absolutely get a first round pick. If not, we'll find out. But what we're starting to understand is that we're starting to see value being associated within the media. So, hey man, I'm excited. I'm excited. And to also what we got yesterday, some news that we got yesterday. Um, I believe so. I believe this is the start of the official league year, March 16th, correct? Um, March 16th would signal uh, Jimmy Garoppolo's no trade clause is waived. And as a result of that being waived, then the 49ers can trade him wherever they want. But it did come out from Mike Garofalo on NFL Network yesterday before the Super Bowl that Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers are still open to moving Jimmy before the start of the new league year, meaning they're both on the same page. They're both working together to facilitate a trade that fits both sides. So the March 16th might not even matter. That's basically what they said. They said that date is just a date. It doesn't change the fact that we can still agree in principle to a trade before then. So we could still see Jimmy moved before the 16th. Now, it won't become official until the 16th, but we've seen time and time again deals approved in principle. So hey, just follow this. This isn't our first time, man. This isn't our first time covering this stuff. So follow the smoke. Smoke is billowing. The smoke is billowing. You got the smoke around Tom Brady. That's not going down. People who know him, Gronk is saying he's gonna play again. Like people are saying Tom Brady's gonna play again. So that's smoke. There's smoke right there. Okay. Well, now we're getting the smoke about Jimmy value. Okay. 100%. So we're going to start chasing. So we're on alert now that, hey, they talked about it yesterday. A trade could happen with Jimmy Garoppolo before the start of the new league year. There's one. Okay. Then today, boom, this is what Jimmy Garoppolo is worth per executive. Okay. So we are officially underway, ladies and gentlemen. Smoke season is officially upon us. Smoke is heavy. The smoke is heavy. Knees weeks. Shout out Eminem, by the way. Shout out M. But yeah, smoke season is on. So we're gonna see more reports. We're gonna see more rumors. We're gonna see more hypotheticals. We're gonna see it all. And guess what? We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna say this hypothetical makes sense. This hypothetical doesn't make that much sense. Well, if we're gonna consider this a hypothetical, and it is funny, it's a little over 420. We're gonna see. So things are starting to move. Things are starting to move. So we'll keep watching. We'll keep watching. I'll come back to this one from Gabe. He says, I'm late once again. Off topic, but Montana's comments frustrated me. Even it's true, why is he saying it publicly? So I guess we can recap. Joe's been this is how I've kind of viewed Joe. This is kind of how I view Joe. I feel like Joe, when he retired, he was at the peak. He was at the mountaintop. He was the GOAT, GOAT quarterback. Wasn't questioned. Had guys like Dan Marino out there. And there's tons of great quarterbacks. But Joe had the championships, right? And so with the championships came the unquestioned GOAT status. And I think with what we've seen from Joe Montana, when he retired, he retired. Like he wasn't in the media. He wasn't out there doing interviews. He wasn't around the team. He's been kind of distanced. but this is my view on it. The reason why you're getting the documentary, the reason why you're starting to get the tour, it's all coming after Brady won his last ring. And when Brady won his last ring, what do we all talk about? The unquestioned GOAT now becomes Tom Brady. And I think people have the newer generation goes just keeps moving. You know what I'm saying? They just keep moving. They don't look, they will look back, but especially when it comes to sports, like I'm sure there's like 49er fans, they know who Tom Montana is, but if you ask them who's the best quarterback in the NFL, they're going to say unquestionably Tom Brady. They don't know. They don't know Montana. They haven't watched him. They don't go back in the archives and watch old Joe Montana clips. So there just isn't an awareness. But after Tom won that last ship, we started to hear from Montana more, and there's more awareness coming to Mont. I think it's a situation where Montana understands his legacy is now being questioned. So I think he's a little sensitive about that. I think he's a little bit sensitive probably to the fact that everyone will say, including 49er fans, that Tom Brady is the GOAT. And I would imagine that probably rubs you the wrong way a little bit. Uh, especially with what we've seen, how his relationship with the 49ers. Again, he was traded from the 49ers. So that doesn't mean that's everything's great between him and the 49ers. And I don't think it was. And I think there was a lot of bitterness that came from that trade. Um, he still doesn't come around the organization very much. And so, it's interesting to hear the thoughts that he has. And I think the thoughts that Gabe is speaking to is, well, last year when he was at Radio Row, he was talking about Jimmy. And he said the 49ers should get rid of Jimmy. They should draft a young kid and just get rid of Jimmy. Just go with the kid. Get rid of Jimmy. Go with the kid. That's what he said last year. Come full circle this year, specifically going out of his way to mention that people are saying inside the building that he's not ready and that Jimmy Garoppolo should stay. When everyone in the world knows the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo are heading towards a divorce. So it just feels counterproductive. It just feels like, I don't know him. I don't know Joe. I don't know what Joe's been through. I don't know his history. I don't know his context. But from the outside looking in, it just feels kind of like I can kind of feel you're angry. It kind of feels like you're angry. Kind of feels like you're upset. And it kind of feels like that's why you're saying the things you're saying. Who knows? A lot of people are clearly going to come out and give their opinion of Trey Lance. But again, take a step back. You're the GOAT to this franchise. Like Joe Montana is the best quarterback to our franchise. Maybe he might not be considered the GOAT anymore across all fan bases. But guess what, Joe? You're still the GOAT to our fan base. So when you say something about our team, it means a lot. Like we're like, oh, Joe doesn't think Trey Lance is ready. Like, oh, like we haven't, that impacts us as 49er fans. So, I know I don't think he has any ties to the team. I don't think he really cares too much about any of that. He's just going to go and speak his mind. But, like I said, that context makes sense for him. But for 49er fans, when we hear our GOAT saying, like, the way he talked about Trey is just like, maybe could have handled that a little bit more gracefully. But hey, it is what it is, man. It's Joe Montana. He can say whatever he wants. Um, he can say whatever he wants. So it's fine. And I know I got a lot of 49er fans upset a little bit. But hey, it's okay. It's okay. Just, it just feels like we all have tone, right? We can say one thing, but if we assign a different tone to it, it can mean another thing. So just like what he's saying could just be a pure honest assessment, I think there's a tone of bitterness underneath it that I think 49er fans are kind of feeling out, and they feel it out, and they're kind of like, kind of just feels bitter. But hey, the man is entitled to his opinion. He can say whatever the hell he wants. He really can. He can say whatever he wants. His opinion is his opinion. But of course, didn't uh, hit all 49ers fans' ears the best. So, hey, some are saying boost Jimmy's trade value. Maybe that's why they're talking about a 1 now. Maybe that's why they're talking about a 1, because Joe said don't trade him. So, hey, man, it's wild. It is what it is. Cap says, I love Montana, but he is still salty over being replaced by Young. So he empathizes with Jimmy. It's funny that both Young and Montana carry opposite opinions. Young is, hey, go with the young kid. go with the wildly talented, athletically high, supreme ceiling Trey Lance, right? Steve Young's, that's what he's saying. Joe's like, stay with Jimmy. Like, it's just even funny how the differentiating of their two opinions stack up against each other. And I think the person who has been all over the quarterback situation has been Steve Young. If you listen to Steve Young from the start of the season through the middle of the season to the end of the season, Steve Young has been on point with everything. Talking about the dynamic behind the scenes, talking about what it's like being in that situation from his perspective. If you go back and you listen to Steve Young every step along the way, from the offseason to the end of the season, he was on point. He was on point with everything, and he's been all over it. Joe, he's coming off his couch to do the media tour. I don't think he's as involved as Steve Young is. Steve Young literally works in the media. He's paid to talk about this stuff. He's paid to analyze it. Joe isn't. Joe's just giving an opinion. So I think but it is interesting how they both have very differentiating opinions. Absolutely. Smash that like button. We're getting towards the end here. We are getting towards the end here. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about, quarterback related? Maybe something that I didn't touch on. All that kind of stuff. It was funny. I got Benjamin Albright tweeting at me. I haven't even seen what he said, but I can see the updates coming through. Benjamin Albright's tweeting at me. I don't even know what he's talking. I didn't even tweet at him. So he must. I guess I'm still living rent free in Ben's situation, because he's tweeting at me. I don't even know what he's saying, but Benjamin Albright's tweeting at me. So that's fun. That's fun. So good stuff there. I'll see what he's got to say later. How's this draft scouting going? I went the deepest I've gone last night with the draft. Seeing that game end, the way that I was like, all right, it's time for the draft. I did at least 15 mock drafts last night. I scouted a bunch of prospects in the process of doing the mocks that I was doing. I like it. And now guess what? My mocks, I'm gonna see what happens. We're gonna trade up to 11. We're gonna trade up to 11. We're gonna just do it based on what today's stuff's gonna happen. So we're gonna now have the 11th overall pick. We'll be able to do that trade where we just swap out the pick. And then I'm gonna see what my class looks like. But I have some mid round safeties that I've identified. Um, and I'm not going to start naming names. We'll do full breakdowns and do it properly. Um, but there are some middle round safety prospects that I've identified that I really like, especially with offensive linemen kind of in those middle rounds. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Could we speculate for a minute about our pickup with the potential first round pick? Of course. Of course. What specifically are we wanting to speculate on? Essentially, like who do we get if the 49ers move to 11? Is that the speculation we're kind of talking about? Um, because I'm open for some good old speculation. I'm open for some good old speculation for sure. Um, let's see. Absolutely. Okay. So, who do you guys think? Hey, 49ers, they all of a sudden the everything opens up and the 49ers have the 11th overall pick in the draft. Oh, what do they do? Do they stand pat? Do they take someone there? I'm seeing Trevor Penning with the 11th pick. Oh boy. Um, I'm seeing Justin's like, I want more picks. Drop back a couple spots. Get me more picks in the second, third round, which I actually wouldn't mind. I actually would not mind. Niner by nature says Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame, aka Derwin James 2.0. I like this. Yes. Give me another defensive lineman. I don't even care. I don't care. But Cougar says we need pass pro. Sauce Gardner at 11. Could be a potential pickup cornerback out of Cincinnati. Hey. Cincinnati's defensive back room. And not just Kobe Bryant either. Not just Kobe Bryant either. I'm looking over there at a Cincinnati's DB room, and I'm a liking. I like all those guys that they have over there. 100%. But hey, should we end? All right, let's do it like this. Let's just do it like this. Let's stop being silly. We're just gonna end it on a. We're gonna do a mock first round pick together. Let's do it. Why not? It's off season time, baby. Let's do mock draft simulator, and then what we'll do is we'll trade to the 11th, and we'll pick together. This will be our first community mock draft, which is purely speculative. It's not even. We don't even have this pick yet. It hasn't occurred. But guess what? We are going to continue to we're going to mock it into existence. That's what we're going to do. We're going to mock draft the 49ers trading into number 11 into existence. Oh, goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. So I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to pick number 11. We're just going to do the first round. Let's just do the first round. Let's just do the first round. So I'm just going to pick 11. Just going to pick 11 and let's see who's available. I have not done a mock draft from this slot or in the first round. So so let's find out. So like I said, I just did Washington. That's where we're going to start. I didn't do any elaborate trading, which we can do. But let's look at recap what we got. So number 1, Aiden, whatever. Hutchinson, edge, Michigan, number 1. We got back-to-back edges. Thibodeau goes number 2 out of Oregon. Number 3, Evan Neal to the Texans. Dude's an absolute savage. Derek Stingley, cornerback, goes to the Jets at 4. Charles Cross, tackle, to the New York Giants at 5. Carl Laftis, Justin told me to go scout Carl Laftis. Carl Laftis goes 6 here? Sheesh. Kyle Hamilton's gone, though. Kyle Hamilton, like I said, I get Derwin James 2.0 vibes off Kyle Hamilton. He goes 7. Ahmad Gardner, a.k.a. Sauce Gardner. He's gone. Top 10. Ooh. Denver gets a little crazy, and they go Matt Corral at 9. And Dean goes to the Jets. So this is who we have available for the 49ers. We could go Tyler Linderbaum, center out of Iowa, which, hey, if Alex Mack, and we know by this time he is retired, this might be a great pick. And again, centers don't go this high. And he's coming out of Iowa, which means this boy is bred. This boy is bred to be an offensive lineman. Not only that, he knows how to run block. He knows how to do it all. Everything that Tyler would be able to do would translate perfectly. So there is a world that exists. Maybe Tyler from center from Iowa, but then you also got Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah. Drake London, wide receiver. You got Ekwonu. Ooh, Ekwonu. That would be tantalizing. Trent McDuffie. You got McDuffie, Sam Howell, Jamison Williams, Kaiir Elam. He's going to be shooting up boards. Who we thinking? This is you guys. So you guys are going to pick. Drop it in the chat. In this year's first community mock. And again, we're mocking a selection of a hypothetical trade. So it's technically a asterisk. It's not really our first, but it is our first. So let's see. I want to see in the chat. So far, chat is heavy on. So I think this might be the first one. Trent McDuffie? No center in the first. Trent McDuffie, second. Devin Lloyd, trade down. Booth, best corner available. Drake London, generational talent. Drake London gives me a lot of Mike Evans vibes. Kaiir Elam, trade back. Hey, trade back might be the move. I think I might be there with you guys on the trade down. But guess what? In community mock 101, no trading. We'll get there. To be honest, we traded to get here. So just for 101, trade chit jerk. For 101, we got to select here. Can't get wishy-washy, guys. Can't get wishy-washy. No trading down in community mock 101. We are at the 11. Here are the available prospects to you. We can only select one. Drop it in the chat. Do the 49ers go with the number one cornerback on the board in Trent McDuffie out of Washington? You can see his grades. He was the 18th ranked cornerback in the entire NCAA in 2021 with an 86.3 grade. He is a solid frame at 5'11", and they say he plays consistently bigger than he is. He's allowed only 16 catches from 36 targets for 11 yards and no scores and 5 pass breakups. Hey, that's pretty good coming out of the Pac-12 where they like to sling that thing. Dustin the Gale says, should we try to draft Christian Watson due to his connection with Lance? If yes, which round would be appropriate? I think Christian Watson is floating around second, third round right now. He feels like he's probably going to be a solidified second rounder, but just understanding that there's a lot of up and downs and scouting others does feel like the 49ers, or at least Christian Watson, is floating around the second round. So that's kind of where I see Christian. But to be honest, you can get wide receivers in a lot of different places. So I'm not, and considering the 49ers are going into this year with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk as 1 and 2, I'm not as, I don't feel like I will personally be as needy to go up and grab Christian, especially if I can get maybe an impact edge, who maybe a starting offensive lineman if we need it. So we'll see. We'll see. But hey, we got to pick this first rounder, and we're not trading. So who you guys gonna pick? Drop it in the chat. Who you guys gonna pick? We're not trading down. No trading down. You guys got to pick. And we're just going to go off who has the most names. So drop the name in the chat. The person that has the most names gets the pick. So far, I got 4 centers. So right now, Tyler Linderbaum is winning the race. We got some votes from we got Duffy, McDuff. We got 2 McDuffies. Let's see. Center, Elam, Booth, Ikem, or Tyler. So how about for this? This hypothetical Mac retires. I'm sure that will make this easier. For this particular hypothetical, Mac has retired. He has gone off into the sunset with his Pro Bowls, and he has decided he is not going to be returning with Trey Lance, and the 49ers will then need to replace Alex Mack. I think if that is the context, I think that would then make this pick a little bit more easier to kind of drill down to, because there's so many different options. I think that might make sense. So considering the fact that it was already one of the biggest names that we have seen in the chat so far, the San Francisco 49ers are going to take Tyler Linderbaum with that pick. Good job, guys. The pick is in. 49ers, or since we are on these guys, the 49ers opt to go for probably the best interior offensive lineman in this class. This dude's different. So this guy, like when you talk about centers, especially when you talk about offensive linemen coming out of Iowa, this is like your prototypical. This is like the guy that you could plug in and play, and you would get a very similar output from a veteran center because he comes from a team which implores a very prototypical NFL style offense and would fit exactly what the 49ers would need to do. And again, it's a reminder for people who do like wide receivers, you can find plenty of wide receiver talent late in drafts always. Not sometimes, always. So again, this is our first shot. Our first shot as doing a community mock, selecting a pick that we don't even own. So hey, underneath those random circumstances, it makes sense. But it does feel like that we need to do an actual 49ers community mock here if my eyes are if I'm seeing this correctly, right? It does feel like we need to do more of these because this would be a great opportunity for us to get prospects in front of us, talk about them, what their strengths are, what their benefits are. And again, remember, it's mock central time, meaning this is all hypothetical. Don't be that guy who's cussing at the mock draft because they did something you didn't even think was fathomable. We're going to be fluid around here. So, in that instance, though, in that instance, let's say Mac doesn't retire, he can still play guard. So he does fit multiple roles. Like, yes, he could play center, but he could also be a starting guard right away. So I think we'll do way more of these, especially with all our picks and all that good stuff. I think that would absolutely work. Um, so Mike says let Lakin walk to fill out other positions and move Banks to left guard, or keep Lakin and try Banks at right guard. So I've been thinking about it, and honestly, I think what makes Lakin potentially, from their perspective, um, what's the word? Brunskill's a restricted free agent. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're pretty equal in regards to importance. Now, I know a lot of other people carry a different tune. But like I said, as someone who's watched every single snap of both of those players and studied both of them and understanding what the 49ers want to accomplish and what they want to do, you can get Brunskill much cheaper than Lakin. And then if you draft a guy and or put Banks in, that might be the outcome, because again, Brunskill isn't a unrestricted free agent. Brunskill is a restricted free agent, which means the 49ers pretty much still own Brunskill's rights. They can still get Brunskill back on a relatively affordable deal, whereas that's not the case with Lakin. Lakin's heading into his last big contract. He probably had his best year of his career and ended it with the Pro Bowl season. And he's going to want a contract that matches that value, and rightfully so. But I just don't know what the 49ers are going to do. Like, I don't know if they are going to be like, take into all those things and be like, we're going to give you this big deal. I don't know. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that. And if you kind of look at it a little bit differently, understanding that Brunskill is a restricted free agent, meaning they're still going to be able to retain him for likely a cheap deal, that could mean other things. So we'll find out. We'll find out. This offensive line is going to be one of the biggest dominoes when it comes to building out this roster. Like, we got to figure out. We know Trent's coming back, but we literally don't really know if Lakin's coming back. We don't know if Alex Mack is coming back. Brunskill is, again, having that RFA tag. They can still tender him at like maybe a third round value. A team could potentially sign him away, and then the 49ers get a draft pick. But who knows? Maybe Brunskill finds his way back on the roster. Because I think he's much more valuable internally than fans will give him credit for. Um, but a lot of things to figure out. A lot of things to figure out, and we'll definitely have lots of time to talk about it. But those are going to be some of the chips that need to fall. What is going on with the O line? Who's coming back? Who's not coming back? And then how do you build out a team accordingly? Because draft strategies are going to change based on which offensive linemen are going to come back and or leave. So that's going to change. If we're going into the draft with no Lakin and no Mac, that significantly changes our thought processes on how we are conceptualizing the draft will go now. So we got to figure it out. Lots of chips that need to fall into place. Dustin says, what was the weak link in our O line against the Rams in the NFC Championship, and what would you do to fix it? Okay, so I will say this: I just decided, like, I didn't really want to like dive into the tape just because I was just so over it. I was so over the season. But I am so the tape that I have, it's a 30-minute length because it's just every play, 2 views of every play, and it's 30 minutes long. I'm halfway through. I'm halfway through, and by far the best offensive linemen on the field are Trent Williams and Daniel Brunskill, and it's not even for debate. Like, it's not for debate. Like, I'm looking at my list here of how I track the plays and how I talk about them. Dude, it was the Trent and Brunskill show. Those dudes were balling. So again, a lot of people, when they talk about, oh, it's offensive line and it comes back to Daniel Brunskill. Well, I'm halfway through the tape. Again, I'm not through the full tape. So far, Aaron Donald has not beaten Daniel Brunskill. It's been the opposite. And on top of that, I thought Trent Williams, I thought his injury might have been an issue. It wasn't. He was dominating. He was dominating. So honestly, what I've seen is the defense. I don't see the offense doing anything that they normally don't do, especially with the offensive line. When I come back and I look at it, I'm actually looking at it from the sense of, wow, the defense just understands what gaps we are trying to attack, and they were just ensuring that they had more numbers to those gaps than we had to block. So at a certain point, we were running our Zorro schemes and our outside zones and our gap schemes and all that type of stuff, but they were filling everything to the point of it was a numbers problem. They had more numbers that were ready to stop what we were trying to do than we were able to actually block. Uh, Mac and Tomlinson, they weren't terrible, but they weren't playing as high of a level as Brunskill or Trent. Those two guys were clearly playing at a level above. And I'm talking about like Brunskill and pass protection, blitz pick up, whether it was hitting outside zones, the way he again reach blocked Aaron Donald on the outside three tech. It's insane. No one should be able to do that. He did it again. But like I said, I'm halfway through. I'm only halfway through. And halfway through, Daniel Brunskill and Trent Williams are not a problem, like at all. Like, so far, the issues that I've seen, it was Tom Compton and pass protection. Tom Compton in pass protection wasn't the greatest. And Laken Tomlinson was average. he did okay. He wasn't over the top great, and he wasn't like bad. He was just average. And same thing with Mac. And then obviously with Compton, it was a failure on some pass blocking reps. But so far, like I said, even though I'm looking at it, I'm not done. I'm taking it in very bite-sized pieces just because I don't want to be reminded of the loss to the Rams, but I want to see. And so far, I don't see the O line being the issue. I see great scheme. I see I see the defensive coordinator studying the hell out of our tape and doing something similar that the Green Bay Packers did to us week 3, where they just knew what we were doing and they were beating us to the spot. They were outplaying us to the gaps with the numbers. And then when it got to a situation where they had to drop back and pass, that's not Compton. That's not Compton's wheelhouse. He's not. He improved this year as a drop back passer, but it's still not his wheelhouse. So I would actually just. I'm so far. I got to give credit to the defense. The defense knew, like they knew, like, and that was one of my issues, man. That was one of my issues. We're very particular with how we run the football. And although we dress it up to make it look like real crazy, if you can figure out the cadence to it and you can figure out like the rhythm to it, because there is, then you dislodge the rhythm by shooting gaps, by shooting numbers. And that's what they did. And that's at a certain point. If you have 5 guys to block, how do you block the 6th guy? So that's kind of what I'm up to up at this point. But like I said, I still got half the tape to get through. But watching the tape again just made me appreciate Brunskill even more. Made me appreciate that man even more. That dude is so underappreciated. He, I, 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 I think he's the second best offensive lineman on the team. But that's me. He will struggle in pass protection. That is not his strong suit. 1v1 pass protection against nose tackles, stout defensive tackles. Yes, that is where he struggles. But he does everything else great. He really does. He does everything else great. He's not the issue in the run game. He gets to second level better than probably. He might get to the second level. Like he's up there with anyone in the league when it comes to getting to linebacker or getting to safety, which if you know anything about our offense is a prerequisite to be able to be a blocker in that situation. So far, again, it's still TBD. I'm not all the way through the tape. But I ain't seeing Brunskill or Trent being a problem. So we'll see. Yeah. Also, too, I realized Brunskill is a restricted free agent. So that number was just a number I threw out because I saw what Laken Tomlinson was getting, and best believe Daniel Brunskill, from a value standpoint to this offensive line, played just as well as that number would indicate for Laken. So that was all that reference point was coming from. The reason I said 5.5 because that's what Laken's getting. And if you look at both of their play, Brunskill is worth a $5.5 million contract if Laken Tomlinson is worth a $5.5 million contract. Oh, I can say it with a straight face. I will, with my whole chest, say actually Daniel Brunskill is probably worth more than $5.5 million. Like I said, I watched every snap of this team this year. Brunskill was not the problem here. He was not the problem on this team. He was not the problem with the offensive line. In fact, he was one of the reasons why the offensive line worked, why these Zorro concepts worked is because of him, because of his pulling ability, because of what he could do, stretching the field. Again, his ability to get to second level, that's hard. And that's not a prerequisite that comes with offensive linemen. Getting to second level is actually a learned skill that you have to do. So, again, I have no problem saying Brunskill is worth what he's worth and deserving of what he's worth because he played that well. Tape don't lie. Again, tape don't lie. At the end of the day, you can reference grades, you can reference whatever you want, but at the end of the day, the tape does not lie. And Brunskill has fantastic tape this year. Really, really does. Again, people are going to point to his pass protection in a 1v1. That's one aspect. One aspect. Dustin says, do we need to keep in mind Lance being a more mobile quarterback when making upgrades to the O line? Yes. Yeah, I would say so. I would say so, or at least, you just have to work. You have to work. You have to rep it. You have to be able to practice like what happens when your quarterback leaves or what his internal clock is so that you're not putting yourself in a poor position. Um, it depends if they're going to uh, a different scheme, like if they wanted to go straight power scheme versus like the gap scheme that they're working off of an outside zone. That's completely different skill set. It's completely different body type of offensive lineman. It's a completely different point of emphasis for the offensive line. So the things that I'm talking about with Brunskill, they don't translate to power scheme. So it depends. It depends on what the plan is for the offense. If they're really going to run dedicated quarterback power, then yeah, you need guys who can run power plays. They were trying to run power elements last year. It just didn't work. It didn't. It's not what our guys are used to, um, because you can't give up ground when in the opposite zone. You're giving up ground. Like you're literally, it's a zone. You're flowing. It's a flow. Uh, but with power, there's no flow. That's where we're running, and you better block that gap, or else if you give any ground, it's plays done. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's got to be something to keep in mind for sure. Something they got to keep in mind. So we'll see. So once the offensive line chips start falling, I think that will give us a little bit better understanding. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. A lot of people have been saying Trey Lance is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. Do you agree? That just feels like a setup for someone to be let down. You know what I mean? That just kind of feels like, um, although I see a lot of similarities and I can pull and compare to that situation, if you are of the expectation that the outcome will be the same as what Patrick Mahomes did in year two, you're probably going to be severely disappointed. And that's not to take away from Trey, but it's to, if you're going to evaluate someone to one of the highest standards that we've ever seen from this particular instance, you're setting someone up for failure because not everyone's the same. Not everyone's going to reach the same level. And we're talking about a guy, Patrick Mahomes, who reached the highest level in which he set himself up. So I don't know. I think it's different. I think it's different. Um, I think I think it's a situation where I'm not expecting him to come in with that same upside, if you know what I mean. Like I'm expecting him to have a step forward, but also there's a lot that comes along with that. So I don't want to I don't want to say that like he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes, because the next Patrick Mahomes, like, not a lot of people are like Patrick Mahomes. Um, so I understand the correlations that people pull because, Patrick sat year one, Trey sat year one. Patrick had Andy Reid, Trey's got, Kyle, Patty has Travis Kelsey, Trey has Kittle, Patty had Tyreek Hill, Trey has Debo. Like, you can pull similarities. You can do that, but it's it's just also a setup for disappointment, in my opinion. That's kind of what it feels like. It's kind of what it feels like. That's crazy. I was like, I think we got done talking about the quarterback portion of it like around an hour, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get out of this live like with maybe hour 15, hour 20. I was wrong. I swear. All I got to do is get going on a couple questions and I'll be talking about football for hours. My goodness, already almost 2 hours. Let's end it there. Because you guys know I could go forever. So let's end it there. We're almost at 2 hours. Again, if you sat the whole way, you get a cookie. You get a medal. Congratulations. Appreciate you guys chilling with me. Yes. Get your cookies. Get it all. Cookie gang. Hey, I appreciate you guys are willing to vibe with me that long. I appreciate that you guys are willing to vibe with me that long. I was gonna do an unboxing. I completely forgot about that too. Should I do it? Just whatever, just get it done. It's not, I don't even know what it is. Or I could just do it tomorrow. I To be honest, I don't even know what it is. All right, fine, I'll do it. All right, I'll do it. Someone sent me something. Yes. Shout out the Mod Squad. Mod Squad, you guys have been fantastic so far. I want to give an evaluation of the Mod Squad really quickly. Mod Squad's been on point. So shout out the Mod Squad. For real. You guys have been keeping the chat clean. It's great. Shout out the Mod Squad. You guys have been doing work. All right, so we're gonna do this. Like I said, I don't know what it is. And the return info doesn't give me a good idea. So we're gonna find out what it is together. Feels like a sweatshirt, not gonna lie. Feels like a sweatshirt. Let's see what we got. Oh, quickly, I saw someone say this. Just quickly, I saw someone say this. I do want to give my thoughts to Grant. I don't know Grant like that. Like, we know each other, we follow each other. Like, we interact with one another. I don't like talk to him like maybe once or twice. So I don't know Grant like that. I know who he is clearly. I just do want to pass on, my thoughts and my prayers to his family. Like I said, I don't know Grant like that. I did happen to catch one of his episodes with him and his dad, and so I got a really good idea of like who he is with his family and stuff like that. So, man, RIP to his mom, man. Like, again, you might not see eye to eye, with his takes. I don't, but that's still a human being, man. Like, when I saw that come across, man, I felt so bad for him. So I saw someone mention Grant, so I just wanted to say something, just sending vibes his way. Like, I even think he was working today too. So, man, shout out that dude. Like that's tough. So, nothing but good vibes for Grant today. Yes, no Grant slander. Even if you don't agree with them, no Grant slander. Shout out to Grant, man. That's terrible. So it is. I was right. It's a sweatshirt. Let's see what kind of sweatshirt we got here. Oh, okay. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out the squad. Let's go. Let's go. So shout out. I didn't know this was from them. Shout out my homies from Bleacher Report Betting. Shout out the Bleacher Report family. Shout out all my homies at Bleacher Report. Always keeping your boy looking right. Shout out. Hey, man. That's pretty cool. Not going to lie. That's a nice sweatshirt, too. Bro, I don't know, dude. It's just wild to me. Like, how I like this journey where I got 200 people in this chat or on this live. I've been on it for 2 hours. This all started in Bleacher Report comment section. Like, this whole like journey that I'm on started in these people's comment sections. So this is wild, man. Crazy full circle. They're sending me gear now. Shout out the homies at Bleacher Report. I don't know. Weird. Crazy full circle moment. Shout out Bleacher Report. Again, you guys, hey, beautiful things come from comment sections. I'm just saying. Beautiful things come from comment sections. So hey, if you guys wanna I think I don't know. If you guys want to get going on something, man, there's some talent. Just got to do it. But seems like a perfect time to end it on this one. Shout out the squad for vibing per usual. 2 hours somehow you guys could get me to talk about football and the 49ers for 2 hours in the dead of the off season. But it is what it is. I'm excited. We'll be back tomorrow. You guys know we're gonna have something to talk about tomorrow. Is that you? Yeah, I remember that comment. I love it. If you want to comment 4 or 5 times on a video, go for it, man. Go for it. But yes, appreciate all you guys. Appreciate the Sourdough Squad. We'll be back tomorrow. Plenty more content, guys. It's just getting started. Like, you think this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. Oh, the smoke chasers are going to be in full force. I'll comment my comment one word at a time. You just get all my videos just have one comment. I appreciate you guys, man. We got the unboxing done. I should have another one coming soon. I think Residency sending me some more gear, so we're gonna have another one. We're gonna try to keep those things rolling. But appreciate all you guys. Shout out my day 2s and my day 1s and my day 4s. We appreciate you guys. So I'm excited. This offseason's off to a great start, and we're gonna have plenty more to talk about. So I will see you guys tomorrow. With tomorrow's topic, I guarantee it's going to be a juicy one. We don't even know what it is yet, but it's going to be fire. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great rest